Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Having to test something. I haven't done a video for a few weeks for various reasons, but my camera, what did I do with it? It's over there, is having problems. But I'm here to do a review of an album that just came out yesterday from the French band. I've mentioned them on some of the updates, some of the calendar updates. Akphaezya. And they were nice enough. Someone got in touch with me on Instagram to send me a press kit and a download and everything like that. Their new album is called "Fell Down the Veil." Um, Anthologies 1, 3, and 5. Um, and well, okay, so they're a French sort of avant-garde progressive metal band of sorts. The best comparison for them is they're a fair amount like Unexpect, the band that's not anymore from Canada, who French Canadian I believe as well. But um, and the last album that Akphaezya had released was in 2012, so it's been 14 or 12 years rather since their last record, Anthology 4, The Tragedy of Nirak, which is an album that I did like, but I remember kind of like hearing it. It came out in March. I remember kind of went on the radar. Like I knew about it, I listened to it, but I didn't go back to it. And it's avant-garde, metal of a sort with a female singer. It's very theatrical. It's very conceptual. I got wind of them. That was in 2012, with the previous record. Although, according to Rate Your Music, I listened to what was actually a demo, but it's the same track list. But the previous record from June 2009 is kind of like a quasi debut album. Then Anthology 2, Links from the Dead Trinity. So, they had those two records, their first whatever three, four, how many years did they formed in the maybe early 2000s, mid 2000s. They're from Orleans. That's why I say New Orleans, Orleans, France. And that album, that the first like proper debut album, Anthology 2, and then Anthology 4, are part of a concept story, and then this new one, which is Anthology 1, 3, and 5, or Fell Down the Veil, is part of that same story and concept. It's most notable for there's a couple things, but one of the biggest notable things about it, as I just came to learn today, actually, after having this thing for a few weeks, is the lead singer actually is different. Their original lead singer, um, who she did write a couple songs on here, but she left the band. Um, her name is Nell Island. Island. She's had some solo music too, including an unreleased album or an album that recent album at least, with the first track that says "To Akphaezya and Back." Um, but and the thing is, the new lead singer is she's got kind of like an ethnic name. Um, her name, I don't know if she's got like she's mixed or something like that, but her name is Hakata U. But she's not like overtly like Asian. She seems like she might have like, I don't know, just seeing some photos of her on Instagram and everything like that. But the thing about it is she's been with them since 2016, but Nell Eileen or whatever, Eileen, how you pronounce that? It's probably in French. I can't do the French part of it. She didn't leave till 2020, according to Rate Your Music. So they were in the band at one point together, and now she wrote a couple songs on this thing, but the vocal style of Hakata is very similar. I mean, I actually admit I went back and listened to both Anthology 2 and Anthology 4 the last couple days, and yeah, kind of yeah, the demo came out in 2004, so they started in 2002. But the track list is very similar to Anthology 2. Um it which her vocal style, the female vocals are very similar. I mean, not I guess if I'm comparing them left to right, I probably hear some differences. I actually think in some ways, man, my experience obviously is with the earlier records. I'm more used to Nell or whatever, the original singer, a little more, but that sort of theatrical, you know, thespian. I don't even call it thespian, just emotional kind of. There's not a better way to put it. Yeah, it's theatrical. The female singer from Unexpect, which I don't know her name off the top of my head, also has a similar style, but she actually does some growling. So that's the other thing that's notable on one of the other notable things on this new album, Fell Down the Veil, Anthology 1, 3, and 5. And it's a complete, it's in effect probably completing the whole story because you have 1 through 5 of all the anthologies. But they had growling on both Anthology 4 and Anthology 2. There is no growling on this. They have some vocal or voice work from the male members of the band. This, I think it's Stefan or Stephen, the guitarist. But and then there's narrative work. But so I'll just try to get into it as fast as possible. I'm kind of up against the clock today. It's been just I haven't been able to do videos for various reasons, but one reason I've just been busy with work and dealing with a mouse and just yeah, I've gone to concerts. I'm gonna do like a wrap up concert, wrap up and some movies and stuff like that. But there's let's see, on this album there's like eight, no, there's 9 tracks total. Um, I think the all right, continue on here. 9 tracks. It's the concept seems to be, and I read through the press kit. There's the lyrics, a lot of artwork. They put a lot into the concept. A few different things, but there's Rapture at Shiraya, a nauseating blend, case 24135, dissociative identity disorder, um, Mother Last Will, a Mother Last Will, which I think the original singer co-wrote that song. Um, Troy, track number 7, Echo of Tomorrow, and then the last track is The Other Face. My favorite tracks on here are probably the two in the middle, 2 or 3 in the middle. I like this dissociative identity disorder is pretty cool. It's got this sort of twangy, heavy blues guitar riff that works. Um, and then Troy is another one of the tracks. It's very like I'm gonna say busy. The singer is just kind of getting a million words in. It's almost like Battle of Epping Forest from Genesis, or you know how many. It's a couple other examples that the new Willow album has a couple songs like that. But it seems to kind of work. It has this part, the OAS soldier, OAS psycho, talking about that. Troy stands for true revenge overcomes years or something like that. Um, there's some other stuff. I mean, a case 424135. I really like a lot of that, even though it's about the sort of this case with a Judge S. Carlene. The rhythmic drumming is really good. Pounding guitar riffs. And you do have some male with the female vocals. I mean, the female vocals carry all their albums, but this album maybe more than in the other two even. Uh, there's some jazzy elements on like At Shira. Rapture, the first song, kind of is very intense, very dramatic. What else did I write down? I mean, the last song is a narrative. It's like there's a sampling of this letter. There's a bunch of letters, and you see a typewriter. Put the artwork up. You see a letter in the artwork, and it's like someone typing. Although it references 1989 at least once in here. So I mean, people were still using typewriters, I guess, then, but it's right around the time software was becoming more and more of a thing with computers. But because I never used a typewriter, I was lucky enough. But anyway, the artwork has like a typewriter, and there's a bunch of letters from like a psychiatrist. I mean, there's ties to the other records, but I never really followed the concept. First and foremost, I am a music person. I do like to follow the narrative at times. At times, it does change my feeling, my take, my approach, my thought process about an album. But first and foremost, it's still going to be about the music. Although in listening to the other records, I think the flow and the conceptual part of those work in some way, especially the first one. But the way they use piano a little bit in this. A lot of the guitar riffs, I would say, are not as. I mean, they're heavy. They're blues rock, like heavy blues rock. Some of the guitar textures are kind of nice, kind of besides twangy, what would be the word I would use? Um, but there's some weird words. Some journalism. The definition of journalism. Journalism is a type of that is based on repetition or reuse of material obtained from sources such as press releases, syndicated news reports, rather than original research. So it's kind of like a they use the word journalism in Echo of Tomorrow, a female reporter almost sounding like a nurse telling tale. Yeah, I mean, there's a nurse, like you're talking about a child and a nurse. I mean, the story is interesting, but having read through the press, the press kit and some of the lyrics to some degree, it's a lot of words to get through. Um, I'm getting that sort of there's the misperception of what happened with the legal system and these doctors and this child and these. There's a woman that there's a dead like a man like a husband who's dead. The wife may have killed him, and then she goes to prison. She's on trial, but also she has this child. But there's also whatever it is. That's case 24135. But is it Shira's at the doctor's office? But it's like a mad doctor. I just saw like I just saw Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like these mad doctors, but sort of like the real truth is told through some of these other characters. Some regrets, some of the like the mother who may have murdered her husband. That maybe they blamed her, but actually it was the child. But she's sort of like lost it somewhat mentally, having a disorder. Um, but and there's some of it society, this conspiracy. I don't know. The concept seems to be more front and center, which you really have to kind of go through the lyrics several times to really follow some of that. And there's just a lot of lyrics in there. I don't know if they have them on the Bandcamp page. Of course, the press kit did include that, but the EPK. But I feel like while this album does have some good moments, it doesn't work quite as well beginning to end as some of the other two records. But I think some people are being more critical of it on Rate Your Music. I was just reading some of the reviews today. It's the songs are a little there's some repetition in some of the songs. But some of the guitar riffs are good. Those two tracks, especially Troy and Dissociative Identity Disorder. I'd even put those three tracks in the middle, really. Case 24135 are keepers, are ones I put on my playlist and everything. So that's my take. I mean, there's more to it. There's some dark guitar riffs, some heavy, grindy, brooding parts, some lines. So long we've run their races, government oppression, staining our hands, stealing our lands, it's very complex. There's a lot going on, even though I think actually in some ways the other records have even more layering in some ways. But I think that's one. I think it's still enough. I think the layering part of what makes Unexpect or Sicketh or even the Diablo Swing Orchestra charming is that while they have all the layers, they have a lot of chaos. There's stuff that you notice in a subtle way. It's not as subtle on this. It's just sort of a lot of sort of vocal lines and like samples and like stuff, and you can't even make out half of it. I'd have to list it with headphones, really. So that's where the challenge is, but may actually be a reward if you spend enough time with this record. But I don't know. Part of it is the memorability and sort of it's more blues rock than metal, though. I think the other records are overtly metal. They obviously do some extreme vocals. This to me sounds like it's sort of a metal band doing a heavy blues rock album in some way. It's like Mastodon doing the Hunter in a way. But anyway, I'm glad, this album took 12 years per se. I think part of it was a membership thing, but I'm glad they're still around. Unexpect is not around, sadly. Maybe they'll make a comeback. I'd love to. I don't know what the members of Unexpect have done. Their last album came out. It was like the same year, 2012, and then we haven't heard from them. They broke up. But Akphaezya, they're a good band. They're a slightly more accessible version of to me of it. I mean, they have similarities to some other bands. People mentioned like Tomera, sort of gothic metal at points, but this album, I think you get the riffs are heavy at points. There's some heavy bass lines and double bass. But I'm listening to the previous records. There's an aesthetic and a sonic difference, and so it doesn't quite come across as being as overtly metal. But maybe they just didn't want to. Maybe they just wanted to do something a little more bluesy, some jazz elements, and they really wanted to emphasize the concept and finish this sort of story. Anthologies, which suggests it's about a bunch of different characters within this whole premise area, concept. I don't know if they're going to do anything past that Anthology 5, and the fact that they included 3 parts of the anthology in here. But yeah, I give it a mild thumbs up. I mean, I'm not, I don't, I like it. I like some of these tracks. I'm gonna return to, but as a whole, I'm not fully. That's one reason why I struggled with it. The other reason why I just haven't had time. They sent it to me like 3 weeks ago, and I'm just, I've been so struggling. I need to do the concert reviews. I need to do the movie reviews. I need to get back, start to going on this A to Z project for the CDs. But it's just been a man, and now my camera is not working. So I maybe just, if these videos on my computer actually end up coming out, I may do shorts. I did that short of my cat for a few days ago, and I ended up getting over 500 views. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, have you heard, or just, I'd love you to hear. I'll leave links to both this. I'll leave links to the Bandcamp and the Spotify, of course, of this Akphaezya album. But if you like Unexpect, I'd recommend it. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.